Hello and welcome to the video. I'm Jimmy the Mower and today we're going to be servicing a Stihl FS91 strimmer stroke brush cutter. So today we're going to do an engine service on this Stihl FS91 strimmer stroke brush cutter. Now this was dropped off to us because it wasn't working. It was absolutely filthy, caked in dirt and mud and whatever. We've given it a quick swill off and as you can see it's still filthy, but I'm not taking it all apart to deep clean it if it doesn't work. So what I'm going to do now is just do a quick engine service with the air filter, a fuel filter in there and a new spark plug, and we'll see if it'll fire up and start, and if it does and it all works well, then we can go from there, grease up the head, and then afterwards when we finish the video we can get it outside, pressure washer it and clean it all down. So first things first, you will need your Stihl spanner that comes with it. It's got the screwdriver attachment on the end there, large spanner and small spanner for the varying size spark plugs. We've got some needle nose pliers over here. We use those for fishing around to get the fuel filter out and various other things. And we've got a new NGK spark plug. I'm presuming if this is the same spark plug from new, it will be a Bosch one in there. But we've got an NGK one. And the number on there is CMR5H, 7599. So if that means anything to anybody, let me know. We've given this as a direct replacement for the Bosch one. I'll put the part number in for the air filter and I'll put a part number in for the little pickup fuel filter as well. But what we have to do first, get the air filter out. In fact, no, we'll do the spark plug first. We'll take this off on the top. So take the spark plug out. We undo the casing on the top. There's a little starred screw in there, and that's the one that we lift off. And it's a retained screw, so you can, oh, I thought it was a retained screw. I want to say you can tip that up and down wherever you go and it won't come out. It's supposed to be retained. There's a little clip that it sits back into in there. That's it. So we can turn it over and it won't fall out. So that's all in there. We'll put that to one side. Blimey, it's a bit dirty in there. It's a bit dirty. Spark plug's in there. We'll take the head off the spark plug. That's it. Now, you know it's filthy because inside the cap for the spark plug is filthy. So, right, we'll see if we can get that out now. I dread to think what this will look like. Get the spanner on there. It's the small end of the spanner. Oh, see, it's tight. So once that's been loosened off, you can normally take that out. You be careful with spark plugs and over tightening them when you put them in because you can damage the threads, and if you damage the threads on the engine, it's a lot of money to get that fixed and could be more or less scrap depending on where you've got to take it to. Right, so spark plug's out. You can see that's very oily, very dirty on there. So we'll put that to one side. Just have a quick look in the port. It does look quite clean actually, it's not so bad. I don't know where that sticky residue's in. Maybe it stopped working and they just throw it to one side and they just leave fuel in there. One of the first things we do is drain out the fuel. There's no fuel in the tank when we're working on it. We've taken off the spark plug, that's disconnected. And with these, they're a positive on and off, so we know it's off and it won't go anywhere. Now we'll put the new spark plug in. I just put these side by side just to show you for some comparison. Now, when we put a new spark plug in, we don't want similar, we want exact. That's what it is. You can cross-reference these on various websites and it will show you exactly what it is. From the end of the thread there up, it's not really important. It's that threaded bit and the actual plug at the end, which is the important part. Once you're above that line, it doesn't really matter what it looks like as long as it fits to the top on. It's underneath here, that's got to be perfect because you don't want it to interfere with the engine and the cylinder moving up and down. So we'll put this in. Now when you put these in, you shouldn't really need any lubricant to put them in. They should fit in and thread through nicely. On these NGK ones, there's actually a coating on those threads. So when you put it through, it's self-lubricating. I'll move this over a little bit. See if I can tip it towards you so you can see. I'm not sure if we can or not. And we'll put that in. It's always on an angle. These spark plugs are always on an angle. If we were screwing something in, either perfectly horizontal or vertical, it's an easy thing to do. However, when we're screwing them in at a slight angle, it's quite easy to get them cross-threaded, and that's not what we want to do. Now I've put that in, that's finger tight. So we nip them up so they're finger tight. There's a little compression washer on there, and that little compression washer will just stop you over tightening it. It should. You can see on this one there, it's quite flat. It's been put in and tight. They might have took it out to see why it wasn't working. And then once that's in, we can put that in and we can just turn and literally about half a rotation. That's all you need, half a rotation, just to squeeze that washer down and make a good seal so it can burn the fuel efficiently. Now we can put the lead back on, and that's the spark plug changed. So now we'll get round and do the air filter. So now we're on to the air filter then. We turn this over, there's 2 screws in at the top. It's a bit hard for me, and it's a good job I've done this before because I'm showing you from the wrong way round and I can't see what I'm doing. But I presume that's turning round here, that's moving, I can see. So there's a screw on there at the top and there's a screw at the bottom. I'll have to stand up for this one so I can get round and see. Okay, that's that one done there. We'll take these off. Now, judging by the state of the spark plug, I'm expecting there to be quite a bit of mess in this air filter as well. And now these air filters, if you're servicing your machines on a regular basis, you can just give them a bit of a clean out and they'll be fine. But when they sort of get like this one, look, let's just have a look. Oh. It's done its job, it's done its job. That's all you can ask for. In there, you can see that, it's beautiful, clean and clear, okay? On the air filter, you can see there's a lot of dirt and grime in there, especially where we're looking at the bottom. I think that's been damp, maybe stored in a damp shed, damp container, wherever it's been, and it starts to go a bit mouldy and a bit furry on the bottom. So again, like the spark plug that we took out, that's just completely scrapped. There's nothing we can do with that. I wouldn't even entertain cleaning it and putting it back on the shelf to use as a spare one day. So with this, now we'll just gently clean off round the edge with a clean bit of rag, and just to make sure that we don't get any contaminants inside the engine itself, because as the air gets sucked in, gets drawn through the filter, it all comes in and into the engine, and we want that air to be as clean and pure as possible. So I'll just make sure that we've got all that done. Yeah, that's great. So that's nice and clean. Now we'll open up our new filter. And the new filter will just sit snugly in there. Now, you can put a little bit of grease around these if you like, if you prefer. I think I'm just going to put this one together and we'll just see if it works first. And if it works, then when we deep clean it, we'll take the air filter out anyway, because we don't want that to get wet while we're messing around cleaning it. And then when I reseat it, you just put a little bead of grease around the inside or some light oil just around the inside, and it just helps to form a seal between the rubber that we've got there and the metal behind it. So that's in, but at least we know that that's now done. Now we've got a bit of mould and a bit of debris in there as well, so if I just give that a little wipe out just to make sure. As I said, we're not deep cleaning it, we're just going to change the things around the. They want to know whether it's going to run or not, whether it's going to be any good. So if we just give it a quick service just to make sure we've got everything's new, we've got new spark plug, new pickup filter in the tank and a new air filter, we know that we've done sort of the first stage of everything that we can. And if it doesn't work, then it's further investigation. Okay, so I'll just pop these screws back in, which is easier said than done when you're working from the wrong side. And again with these, you don't have to screw them in too tight, you'll just pull them up. There's hardly any vibration on these machines now, they're really good, not compared to the first ones that we used to have years ago. They were shaking your arm all the time. They weren't great, but these ones have come on leaps and bounds. Now we'll put the cover back on over the spark plug. Pop that in there. So that's covered over the top. And again, that cover will sit down there and you haven't got to go crazy with it. It will sit tightly and you hear that clip in. So that's all that done. That's great. And then the last thing we need to do is to just do the pickup filter. Now, these are always a bit of a pain. You can spend hours chasing these round, needle nose pliers. They're small little bits on here, and these we never keep. I've said this before. When we use a spark plug, if we're servicing a machine that's serviced on a regular basis, and you need a spark plug to go on the shelf, you can just clean it off and you can put it in a box and put used on there. And if you have a problem with the machine, you know that that spark plug is working and you can put it in as a test, right? But when we've done this with these machines, these haven't been serviced for a long time. They're dirty. We just throw those away. There's nothing to do with it. And then with these small filters here, that's your first line of defense in your fuel tank. So these are going through and you cannot tell how dirty they are by looking inside or looking at the outside. You cannot tell. They might be 10% full, they might be 90% full. So whenever we change one, we just throw these away. They are just disposable products. And they're not very expensive either. So just get rid of them. It really is not worth your time and effort to try and save one and clean it out to use it again. So now the difficult bit. We'll get in here and try and fish it out. Just got a bit on the end there. There you go. So we've got that out. As you can see, the filter's still wet. We drained all the fuel out of here. So it was all out. There's nothing in there, but the filter still remains wet. And we look at that filter. I won't take it off. I made that mistake, sorry. These lines are a little bit too short for my liking. I prefer another inch or so on there to make it easier, because if you let go of this, it'll pop back inside. And if we take the filter off, and the line goes back inside, they're really difficult to get hold of because there's nothing to grab on. If you can grab hold of the filter with the pliers, that's great. If you're fishing around for the pipe on its own, it makes it really difficult. So I'll get this filter ready, that's there, and then we'll talk about it when I've changed it. So that's that one off. There's a lot of fuel come out there, as you can see. And then we'll push this one on. And they fit on really easily. They just push on. There's a little rubber grommet on there, just a sleeve, and it pushes on, and that's that done. And that goes back into the tank. Now we'll have a look at this. Like I said, you can dry it off. There's a lot of fluid comes out, but you can't ever tell if that's a clean or dirty filter. There's no way of knowing. So that just goes to one side. Again, that's scrap. So now all we've got to do is put some fuel in there, and we can fire it up and see if it'll go. So the last thing to do was put some fuel in. So what I'm going to do is pull these handles up here. We've locked those in place. I'm then going to put a little bit of fuel in there. We can pump it through into the top, turn the choke on and see if it'll start. Now I'm not going to put a lot of fuel in here. I'm not going to waste it in case it doesn't run. Once you've put some fuel in a tank, it's no good to anybody really once you get it back out. So you need it clean, but we'll put a bit in. I think that should be enough just to get us started. We just want to see if it fires up. If it fires up, then we can go ahead and we can grease the gearbox down the other end, and then that'll be enough for this video, and I can get it off camera and take it all apart and deep clean it, pressure washer it, and then hopefully we'll have a happy customer when they come to pick it up again. So I'll just put the lid on this, put that out the way. That's done on there. Now we just put the choke on, so we turn the choke round to on. There's an auto choke on there to come off, so when we press the throttle it just flicks itself back off. So that's choke on, and then we need to push through, and it might take a few pumps. There might be some gurgling in the fuel tank. In fact, I'll release the pressure on the fuel tank actually, just so we can get a bit of fuel through. Right, I think that should be about it. We've got some in the ball anyway, so that's good. Right, fingers crossed and let's go for it. I hope this works. Right, I'll just have to turn around because obviously it's going to fly off the bench if I get it wrong. So we just pull the starter cable out. I'll just pull that a couple of times just to move a bit of fuel around the system. So that's in. We've got the choke on. These are off. We've primed it. We're ready to go. How about that then? That's fantastic. Brilliant then. So there you go. Somebody's bought in a strimmer, not working. We've done a quick service on it. It's up and running. That's great. What we can do now, we'll turn it round and we'll grease the gearbox just to show you what to do. So if this is your strimmer and it's in pretty good nick, you come to the end of the season and you just want to give it a service just to make sure it's great for next season or the start of the season or even mid-season. We do ours probably twice in a full season, maybe 3 times depending on the work that we do and how dusty it is. So I'll spin it round now and we'll be able to get some grease into the far end. So this is the business end then. We've got the gearbox all housed in there, and to access that we just put the star drive into that and we can take it off. Now these are a bit of a pain really to pump grease in. Still do them with a small tube of grease that you can squeeze in, but we do it. Blimey, that was tight. Did you hear that crack when I undid it? But we normally just use a straightforward standard grease gun to pump it in. Now there's a little magnet on the end as well, so you can tell if anything's breaking down in the gearbox because you'll get some filings on there from where it's worn. And this one isn't worn. And surprisingly enough, there's a lot of grease in there too. A lot of grease, so I don't think we'll get much in. However, I'll just pump a little bit in. But I have seen some people selling a greasable one of these, and it's just basically this thread with a grease nipple on the top and a hole through the middle. And I thought it's a fantastic idea because you can just leave that permanently screwed in there. You could take it out for an inspection every so often just to make sure that nothing's wearing prematurely, but you don't have to mess around when you're greasing it. You can just clip the grease gun on, couple of pumps in there, and not only that, it makes it so much easier to get the grease in because there's a seal that it's pushing against rather than you just trying to squeeze some in. So might be a bit of a faff to do this, but we'll have a go and see if we can get any in. Just normal grease gun. We've got some high-speed bearing grease in here, and we'll put this over the end and we'll just pump it through gently. There you go. And that's in there. See, it's very fiddly with having the grease gun just on the top and sliding around, but we've got a fair bit of grease in there. You can see that with it like that, there's a lot of grease being pumped in, so probably wasn't as much in there as I thought. And then when we put the little bolt back in, that'll screw down and that'll push that into the gearbox itself, so it should all be in there and done. We'll just wipe off the excess round the side, and it's always good to grease these before you really give them a good pressure washing off. If there's any problems with any seals in there, the water will get into there and you don't really want that. So there's a lot of grease in there that'll keep the water out, drive it out. Now I'll just tighten that up. Not as tight as it was on before. Goodness me, it's ridiculous. So there you go. So that's it then, we're all done I think. We've serviced the engine, we know it runs, we put some fuel in it and we've fired it up and we've packed this end out with grease. The wiring's all fine, we just do a little visual inspection when we're moving it round, and there didn't seem too much vibration on the shaft either. If you're ever having a problem with a shaft, sometimes the squares on the end of them start to wear away and you lose some power on here, but that's a completely different video. We have to take the ends off, so this is just a quick how-to on the sort of maintenance and servicing quickly on an FS91. I hope you found that informative. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you did and you've got something nice to say, please put it in the comments section below. Any questions or queries, you can pop them in there too. You can always have a look at my website, jimmythemower.com. You can give me the thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jimmy the Mower. I'll catch you on the next one.